Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited today because I was eventually able to figure out my Instagram camera. Now we're live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time. If you're watching the replay, welcome. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Just going to adjust this camera a little bit. I get so excited on the weeks that we talk about sex. Yeah, it's the sex week, and as you know, we've been discussing sex, love, intimacy, closeness, connection, how we do that, parenting, soul fulfillment. It's all part of the mix if you want to be happy in relationship and have good, excuse me while I adjust my chair here, good connection, good hot sex, love, and closeness. For those of you who are joining us on the replay, hello and welcome. How are you? How is it going in the relationship department? How is marriage? How is partnership? Are you having the hot sex, love, and closeness that you so deeply desire and deserve? I would love to hear. And I'm so excited for today's topic. For those of you that don't know me and are new to me, my name is Joanna Intara, and my clients call me the Intimacy Genius. I'm here to empower successful parents to thrive in relationship with soul by cultivating and having the hot sex, love, and closeness that they deeply deserve and also desire. So come on in, everybody. If you're here, give me some hearts. Let me know that you're here. Hi, Qualpet. Great to see you. I know you've been looking at my camera upside down. I'm so excited that you're here. I've been noticing you on my posts lately. Thank you so much. And I just want to say the topic today. I know if you do this one thing, you're going to be having a whole lot more hot, steamy sex and lovemaking. And I just want to really honor that, you know, again, we have not been taught how to do hot sex, love, and closeness. Certainly not hot sex. I think there's very few of us that can actually say that we got the training on how to do hot sex, love, and closeness either from our parents or transmitted healthily from, you know, our families of origin. I think there's so much that gets communicated there, both consciously and also unconsciously as well. So I'm so excited to share with you the topics for today because what I want to do is share with you a little bit about my journey on how I cultivated hot, steamy sex, and then share a little bit about what I know you're probably going through, and exactly what to do, exactly what I did to actually flip the switch. So the reality is, in all transparency, and it makes me feel just deeply vulnerable to share this, but I was not taught how to do hot sex. I did not have parents who did hot sex. I think I've shared before that, you know, there was a lot of fight and eat and sleep in my household, but there was not a lot of F-U-C-K. So that would have been better. I think I shared that before. I didn't know how to prioritize having hot sex. I did not know how to create having hot sex. I didn't know how to create the containers that would actually allow me to step into that. There were so many old imprints that were running the show. So by imprints, we've been talking about that. Imprints are what live inside of us. They're parts of us, and they are formed by repeated experiences in our early upbringing. So that's what an imprint is. And a lot of us have imprints around love, sex, closeness, and connection. And they ran the show. Those imprints ran the show, and it's like that's how it is for all of us. You know, really, when all of us truly acknowledge how it is sexually, our imprints about lovemaking, about sex, about creativity during sex, those can seriously run the show. So I didn't know how to deal with any of those. You know, part of it was around like having the time to have sex. Sex is a luxury that you do after responsibility. Sex is one of those things that you don't really talk about. Sex is one of those things that we don't give a lot of attention to, or it's done in secret. Like, I'm just wondering how many people got the transmission that stuff around sexuality does not get talked about. It's something that's done in secret. It's something that we don't give a lot of public attention to. It should be done in private. I know I'm one of those people, and I'm just wondering, am I the only one? I don't think so. Give me a heart if you were also taught that sex is something that remains secret, that you don't really discuss it, that you don't really talk about it. You just sort of should figure it all out and should have it all mastered by the time you get to adulthood and get into, adult relationship, right? Not, that doesn't work that way. And this is what my clients tell me when they show up in my office or we work together online. I don't know how to do this. I feel like I'm supposed to have it all figured out. I feel like it should just be that I arrived at adulthood and this was all going to be sorted out for me. I didn't realize all the barriers I had to creating hot sex. And the way that I dealt with it was to truly learn how to cultivate, making space for hot sex, making space to value it, making space for the conversations that were involved in it, making space and containers to hold me through it, doing the healing work to release the imprints that I had that were in the way of making it more fun, making it more steamy, making it more delightful, making it more entertaining, making it more juicy, making it more soul satisfying. We do not get taught how to do all those things. We do not get taught how to make sex soulful. We do not get taught how to make sex juicy. We do not get taught how to make sex satisfying. We do not get taught how to make sex steamy. I mean, we have to learn these things. And if you're, watching along and you're experiencing this, probably when you don't have hot, steamy sex, you maybe are not feeling safe or, don't have the containers or the time that you're able to prioritize in making the value of this really central for you. You have to value creating the containers that create hot sex, steamy sex, juicy sex, kinky sex, whatever kind of sex that you really, really love. We have to create the containers. We have to create the value of them. And we do not get taught how to create the value to have hot sex. We don't get taught, okay, I want my sex to be really steamy and luscious and juicy in this way. So this is the container that I need to create. This is the way I need to value it. We don't get taught how to do that. And if you're not having the hot sex, and I honestly think this is the #1 complaint of a lot of my couples, not enough sex, not frequency around enough sex, not enough creativity around hot sex, not enough value around the conversations around how to have hot sex, a fear of the intimacy of having hot sex, a fear of the discussion, feeling shame. I mean, there are literally like a million gazillion barriers that can come up when you start really putting the attention on how do I cultivate hot sex? How do I cultivate hot, steamy sex? How do I cultivate sex that's really, really juicy? How do I cultivate sex that's really delicious? How do I, curate sex from all of my experiences and inner tools and resources that's really hot and steamy? I hear this, that people want this all the time. It is not going away. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't think we're meant to live without that unless you're chosen to live a life of celibacy or you're a monk or nun. That's beautiful. Put all that energy in your spiritual practice. But if you're not having the beautiful connection that hot, steamy sex can provide, probably you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling weary, you're feeling spent, you're not revitalizing. The power of really potent, explosive, ecstatic, blissful sex does so much good for our nervous system. It does so much good to help with trauma. It does so much good to restore our bodies. It does so much good to create connection with our partners. It does so much good in the family and the frequency and the household. Our kids know, if you're a parent, when the connection is on and it's not. If it's not on, they're going to feel that. If the connection is not on, not only are they not going to feel that, but even more tragic coding and mainlining and influence from you, that hot sex and juicy sex on an unconscious, unspoken level is not happening in your household. And that's a really powerful imprint to really transmit to your children. Of course, like not like they're seeing you have sex, but what I mean is that when you're you know, having hot, steamy sex in your household and it is happening and it is juicy and it is alive, your children feel that. The energy and the frequency in your household is wonderful. Everything flows easier. Decisions get made easier. Connection happen easier. Communication happens easier. Calm happens easier. There's so many benefits. But if you're feeling disconnected from your partner and you're not doing the work to cultivate the hot, steamy sex that you really want and desire, you're just going to be thirsty for more. And then those hungers can lead into other things, like maybe addiction, or maybe you become depressed, or maybe you become anxious, or maybe you're like me, you're like fantasized about getting away, you know, because it was too painful to deal with, too intimate to deal with, too vulnerable to deal with. Let's just face it. Like, how many people have been that vulnerable around having these discussions that create really hot, steamy sex? It means going deeper into your fantasies. It means going deeper into your desires. It means going deeper into the value that you wish was there in your sex life. And perhaps you're not able to deal with it, or you don't know where to start, or you're wanting to deal with this, you know, the daily to do, so you focus on that instead. But not having this one thing is so important, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, that I actually recommend to every client, I follow this every single day, is by evaluating the containers that each of us in our partnerships make on how we hold hot sex. What are our values? Containers are holding structures, right? So one of the things that I do in my work is I create containers for people to step into. So likewise, if you want to be having hot sex, steamy sex, juicy sex, soul satisfying sex, loving sex, you know, amazing sex, you have got to create the containers that allow that. So what containers do you currently have that hold your sex life together or not? How much do you spend time on those? Do you discuss those with your partners? You've got to discuss the containers that hold your fantasies, the containers that hold what makes you feel safe, the containers that hold what your values are, the containers that create more intimacy between the two of you, the containers that hold agreements. Containers, again, hold experiences. Containers hold what our desires are. Containers hold what we would like to see us bringing in. Containers are what hold the space. So if you're not having the hot, steamy sex that you desire, and you answer like, I don't have any containers that are holding me, then you have to really, really look at that, because not having in the containers is literally like not having the space to hold the thing that you desire. So you've got to have the containers that really, really hold you. The second thing is that your sex life, say just you imagine your hot, steamy sex life. You imagine that happening. You let yourself sink in for a moment here of like what that desire would actually be. I think, and what I have seen over and over again, is the container needs to be safely asked what it wants, what it needs, what it desires. You know, those three alone, rinse and repeat, are so valuable. What does your steamy, hot, juicy, delicious, fill in the verb of whatever you would really like. What do they need? What do they want? What do they desire? You know, those are wonderful, and they're fabulous, I think, foreplay, you know, emotionally stimulating conversations on date night as well. They can be really fun. They can be really steamy conversations. And I'll add a tip that to have them really slowly is wonderful, you know, to have lots of long presence in the questions and lots of eye contact. You know, you're creating these containers not only by asking these questions, you're also creating the containers by how you have the conversations. You know, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the things you can do to have hot sex, love, and closeness, particularly today, hot, steamy, juicy sex. So I'm sharing with you very specific things that I do in the conversation that are wonderful, that are exciting, that really, really helps. We're talking about how you can create the containers. So again, discussing what you actually need, discussing what you really want, discussing what you desire, going deeper into that. And when you do that, you know, doing that slowly, having lots of eye contact. You know, when you're discussing with your beloved and you're really sharing your deeper needs, and you're really sharing your fantasies, and you're really sharing your deeper desires, that needs space. And when you do that really, really slowly, when you really look at your partner and you really share, you know, this is what I would truly desire. One of my favorites is, you know what I would love? And I say that really slowly. And then my partner is always, you know, hearing that and respond so beautifully and be like, what, what do you really love? You know, what would you really love? You know, it's part of being dignified and respecting what you love, what you would love to have in the space. So great, I call this great soulful foreplay. So maybe if you feel comfortable sharing one thing you're committed to doing this week to help that happen, and just to really know that when you put into words what you desire, already you're shifting the conversation, you're shifting the shape of what you desire. You are creating the structures to support it. And the more that you do this, I promise you, this is a muscle, the more you're on your way to really hot sex, not only love and closeness, but really hot, steamy sex that's juicy, that's wonderful. The other thing that I do often and over again is I play with defining the container even more by going into my attitudes about hot sex, my feelings about hot sex, my instincts about hot sex, my conditioning about hot sex. What this does is it creates consciousness, it creates awareness. We're talking about the things you can do to create hot sex, very specific, tangible things, deepening the container, defining the container more deeply. When you create more consciousness, when you create more space, when you create more structures, when you create more intimacy with the conversation, when you slow down while you're expressing your desires, and you slow down while you're expressing your deepest needs, your most vulnerable needs, the things that would help you explode or feel more ecstasy or feel more love during the process or feel more creativity or help you, you know, break through on something. There's so many ways that you can bring consciousness to the discussion, but it can't start unless you're willing to create the containers that support you. So that is my primary point today. That is my primary message. And when you do that, of course, as Anna E. Nin said, who I love, is that the value of relationship is that it brings intimacy. I'm sorry, the value of connection is that it brings intimacy. And the value of intimacy is that it brings love. And from love, all things can flow from there. You are bringing with your heart, your soul, your body, your sex into these conversations, into the containers, your attitudes, your feelings, your instincts, your desires, your deepest fantasies. These are not insignificant. And if you want to deepen them, these are some of the things that you can do to definitely turn up the dial on having hot sex. These are the things that have absolutely been working for me. I've been in a relationship for 16 years. No, it is not a bed of roses. No, it is not perfect all the time. Yes, there's been a shitload of work to do, just like all of us. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, everything is perfect, because, you know, that wouldn't be real or genuine. But I will tell you that these things are profound. They work. They are tangible. They are practical. If you're just joining us and you want to catch, you know, the download of what I shared today and practice it, I guarantee you that if you even take one of those things and you put it through the tools that I shared with you today, it is absolutely going to create a shift. You will notice something very tangible. You will have new material to work with. You'll be sitting there in the practice and you'll be like, oh yeah, that thing she mentioned, it just opened this up a little more. And the wonderful thing about it is you can keep repeating them. You can keep practicing them. It's not like, you know, these are things that just get tried once and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I just got that out of it. No, they're things that you can keep deepening into. You'll be noticing that I've been posting these intimacy inquiries lately. And the purpose of inquiry is to keep deepening our relationship, keep deepening our awareness, keep deepening our consciousness, keep deepening how we bring us to the practices that help us go deeper, that help us become more conscious, that help us get the things that we truly desire. And I know if you do this, I have no doubts, you will be having more hot sex, you will be having steamier sex, whatever the kind of sex is that you want. If you want kinkier sex, if you want juicier sex, if you want more explosive sex, if you want sex that has more love in it, if you want sex that is more healing, you are a powerful creator. Your conversations are powerful creators. And so you get to have that. You truly get to have it. These are the conversations that I have with my clients, with my couples, or those who are in relationship and partnership and married, that I work with individually as well. And I know for a fact, because I've been doing this work for 33 years, 30,000 hours of client work, is that this is opening, it is deepening, it is expanding, it is consciousness is producing, and it is really, really potent. So if you are somebody who's watching this today, I'm wondering what is one thing you're going to take away from this that you'd be willing to try and commit to, the one thing. Because I know that if you commit to one thing that you can do to help bring this about, there will be an undeniable shift. So it starts with a commitment, and I'm really happy and excited to see what comes up for you. Feel free to share it with me if it feels too public, because this is an intimate subject. Send me a private message. I would love to hear from you. I've got room for one person this week. You can get on a call with me, no obligation, and share with me one challenge you're having in this department. And I promise you, I will tell you the one thing you can start doing to shift it today. That would be really fun for me, and a great gift to anybody who gets to experience it. You know me, I bring full-on soulful curation, experience and embodiment to this conversation. So I know it will be really wonderful for you as well. So just seeing here if there are any questions. I'm just looking up here. Hello to everybody on Instagram. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to see you all. If you're just joining us, we're wrapping up here. All the things you can do to create hot, steamy, juicy, fill in the blank of whatever kind of sex you actually truly, truly desire. And I know that shifts for people. So that is going to be something that you can really do. I've enjoyed connecting with you all. If you want to be one of those lucky people that gets on a call with me this week, you can reach out to me on the URL below, Free Call with Joanna, FREECALL with Joanna. Who's it going to be? Who am I going to get to help this week? I'm really excited about that. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so looking forward to next week. We'll be talking about ways to get the love that you truly desire and deserve in relationship. And I hope you're having a fabulous week. And I look forward to seeing you again. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.